Welcome everyone. Welcome to the stream, community stream for Battle Legion. I think it's number 154, if I remember correctly. As always, I'm just checking that everyone can hear me well, that everything is working fine on your side. On my end, everything seems to be working as intended. So I'm just waiting for you guys in the chat to let me know if everything is working fine. I see that we have a few of you that already joined, and we are gonna wait a few more minutes before we start, as we always do. Um, this is a tiny bit of a weird stream because usually this stream should have been taking place next week. The reason why it's taking place this week is because next week is um, a week in which we have a lot of different things happening on a company level, um, kind of mid term of the year, where we go through a lot of different elements, and basically I won't be available for the stream. So I decided to have it run today. Also, we had no streams for a little while, so having two streams in 2 weeks in a row, that's perfectly fine. So far, I don't see anyone in the chat confirming whether or not everything is working fine. So I'm just gonna wait a tiny bit more, and if no one is telling me everything, then we'll just have to start. Today we have quite a fair bit of elements to discuss, but on the other hand, today we'll be able to have absolutely everyone, um, because well, everyone will contribute to the uh, to the fight night. That's mostly what I meant, because we had slightly less people registering than last week, which makes sense. Last week was a boosted fight night, so that obviously motivated a lot of people. But on top of that, it's also because we had two streams in a row, and that's a bit unusual. So that's probably why we had slightly less people registering, and that means everyone will be able to be part of the fight night without any recorded ones. Okay, I still don't have any confirmation that things are working on your side, guys. So we'll start this way. If any of you that are watching right now has any issues with the sound or anything, I trust you guys to let me know how things are working. Um, and yeah, we'll basically start. As always, we're starting with the easy fight for the time being. This week, let me check. I will go live with the event, and let me check. We have Valdarion, we have Pannekoek, a regular in here. We have Zhutky, we have Anturium, we have Ladoc, Mr.Leatherface, we have Baal, we have Mario, Kerasul, and FatalFarn, and that's for the 10 first players in this section. It's a section where we usually don't have that many people. We have only 24 today, so it should go rather fast. Yeah, let's start right away, shall we? So yeah, for today, I wanted to make some changes to the armies. Sadly, there's been a lot happening, as you know, in the realm of Battle Legion in the past few days and weeks at this point. So I basically didn't manage to do what I wanted to, especially since we had a stream last week as well. But I can promise you that for the next stream in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, 2 weeks, we will have a proper uh, we will have a proper change to the army and a full change. So I'm not gonna just switch a few things here and there. I want to go with an um, entirely new army, and we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, I'm already starting to lose. It's a bit sad. I kind of liked when I have my winning streak effect on the avatar. So yeah, hopefully we'll get back to that quite soon. Also, I know I point this out in a lot of streams, but guys, if you have level 5 artifacts, you don't need to go to the easy slash normal fight. Just go to the other one. Even if you are not sure to win, you will on the long run. You're gonna make more gems if you go to the more advanced one. I know that some people go to this version because they lost once or twice in the more hardcore one. But if you think about it on the longer run, here you're getting 100 and how is it 200? I think. Let me recheck. Uh, just a second, but I think yeah, you're getting 200 gems for a win, and that's cool. But keep in mind that you will get way more if you're participating to the higher tier. Yeah, that's it. I was checking for the gems. You're getting 200 gems for a win, even if you were losing from time to time in the hardcore mode. In the hardcore mode, it's 150 gems for a loss, which means even if you are losing from time to time, if you are winning even 2 times out of 4, like 1 out of 2 times in the hardcore mode, you will still make way more than in the easy mode. And if you have a draw, you're also making uh, quite a lot more. So, 1 win in the advanced hardcore mode is the equivalent of 2 wins in the easy regular one, while you need 4 wins to 3 wins, sorry, to really um, make a difference compared to losses. Uh, so to say, every 4 wins in the easy regular mode will help you recover from one full um, event that uh, I'm going too complicated about that. You get the idea. You're getting more gems if you go for the harder difficulty. If you have level 4, level 5 artifacts, I'm sure you will be able to get through the hardcore mode most of the time. And I know that a lot of you went to the easy fight because you lost once or twice in the hardcore challenge. But even if you lose from time to time, if you're winning even half of the time or even a third of the time in the hardcore mode, you're still making um, way more uh, way more gems. So that's just something I wanted to remind everyone because overall that means as well I'm trying not to make the easy normal army too strong because I want new players that would join be able to compete a little. Uh, but as you can see, we are already hitting level 3 artifacts, units level 100 or something like this. And I'm still getting crushed by all the players because they all have actually, I mean, not only they're better players than me, that's for sure. They have more knowledge of the game most of the time than I do, but they also have better artifacts, etc. So it's not really making more much sense for you guys to go this way. So again, I know it's something that is stuck in a lot of people's mind, but do not hesitate to go for um, what would make the more sense for you, and not just base it on once I lost, and so I don't want to go for it anymore. So that's just my 2 words on that. Um, yeah. Anyway, to jump a bit more into the actual topics lately in the game. Right now, as you know, we are still fixing some of the issues that we've encountered in the past few seasons. We ran a league rewards reset yesterday. It fixed it for most of the players. We know a few are still impacted. The support team should be taking care of it manually today. So that should be coming quite soon. And we also are 99% sure at this point that we found the root cause for this issue. And we are testing it at the moment by simulating seasons, etc., season endings and beginnings. So at the moment, we're quite hopeful that this is the last season you will have to face this issue with league rewards not being available when they should be. We are still also working on the different elements that were mentioned to you to be coming with the new era to basically come alongside the changes for the league rewards. It's not fully there yet, but we are um, going in the good direction. We are giving the very final touches to the seasonal challenges, for example. As a reminder for those that don't have didn't read, sorry, the announcements we made about that or don't know the details about this. Um, the changes we've made lately to the league rewards are supposed to prevent players from collecting all of the rewards from all of the previous leagues once per season, and instead encourage players to try to compete at the highest level that they can, and they get rewards for the season, the league they start in, and everything they achieve above that. Um, we did make some changes to the rewards in that regards. We also included a higher reset than the one you had before. So in the past, you would be reset to the league prior to the one in which you ended. Now you are reset 2 leagues below. This, by the way, is something we're still checking in after a few seasons, depending on how things are going, how the different leagues are populated. We might even go as far as 3 leagues down. But that's something we're still evaluating at the moment. Um, but to come along this side, because obviously that means less rewards to collect for the players that were in the very top leagues, we are also introducing seasonal challenges, and we are still working on more achievements to come. The seasonal challenges will be similar to your daily quests and weekly quests, etc. The format you will see at first is a system that will work the same way as the daily quest. So you will be asked to equip power stones. You will be asked to use portal keys to the red boss and global red bosses, this kind of things. And it's going to grant you points, unlocking fairly basic rewards. And also, if you are able to get enough points, unlock a super good reward, which is a boost to your entire army. Um, this is basically where the seasonal challenges are starting. On the longer run, as we have more and more elements that we could track and ask people to be active in, there might be several steps to it. Meaning, people that are able to contribute to more aspects of the game would be able to get to even higher rewards or anything like this. But at the moment, that's mostly what it's going to look like. You have your uh, seasonal tasks that will grant you rewards, just like the weekly one and the daily ones are achieving. That's something we wanted to do because we felt like there was a missed linked in there, because you could not ask in the weekly tasks some of the stuffs that kind of make more sense when you look at it from the season perspective. Like, if you think about power stones, most of the players will equip power stones in the first week of a season. Um, if we were to have a weekly task to add power stones, then there would be 1 week out of 2 where it would be a bit harder for players to do so, or not making much sense for them. So that's something we are always working on, and that's basically what the system will look like for those guys. And I think we are already done. Sorry, guys, I missed by just a few players. Yeah, 5 or 6 players. Sorry, I missed the ending point um, for the easy fights, which is why I'm getting some victory. Okay, let's be honest. I did it just so that I have a few wins on my under my name, right? So okay, let's close the event. Grant you the reward, guys, and we will move directly to the hardcore mode. Just a second. Need to change the profile. You're familiar with that. One thing I did today, because for once I had the time to do it before, I made sure that I ran already enough fights so that you won't have to see any wagons coming in. The main reason for that is mostly that I usually tend to focus on what I'm trying to say and not always on what happens on the screen, which means at times it takes me a minute or two to realize that there's a wagon, rail shipment being presented to me or anything like that. So this will prevent this kind of issues. Okay, so let's go live with the event. The first player will be Rune. We have Juice, we have Randu, we have the Backdoor, we have Chibron, we have Nick 220, we have Veringer, we have Gustin, Nappy, Kilililil. I never know how many high there are in this nickname. We have Tsa, Heavy Style, Dead Ripping Hood, a lot of, you know, people we're used to see in the fight nights, you know, uh, loyal players in the fight night. So yeah, everything is ready. Let's go for it right away. So yeah, so to go back to what I was saying, we are working on the seasonal challenges. Outside of the seasonal challenges, we are also implementing a change to limit a little the dropping of players. Just to explain it, what we are limiting is the manual dropping. We are not completely preventing players from manually dropping if they want to. We are just preventing players from dropping too many leagues in one go. The main reason for it is that one of the changes we've done, one of the reasons why we made those changes to the leagues is for the bronze league to be better fitted, right? But you cannot do that if at the same time players realize that, hey, you know what? Okay, you're limiting the rewards I'm getting from the leagues, so let myself drop completely down and collect all of the rewards on my way up. Um, we're not blaming the players for doing that. It makes sense. We knew it would happen, and we didn't want to do anything about that for the first seasons until we would start to have the seasonal challenges, etc. At this point, that's when we felt like, okay, makes more sense to have a limitation to that. The way this is going to work is that there will be um, specific um, achievements in the league, if you will. Or maybe achievements is not the good words, but milestones, let's say, which means if you enter the gold league and you are higher than the gold league, you can only manually drop down to the gold league. But that doesn't mean you're stuck in the gold league, because when the next season starts, you're still taken back 2 leagues below. So let's take the example of a player in platinum. If they want to go down to gold, and then the league system is bringing them 2 leagues down at the season reset, that still allows you to go down quite a fair bit. If you're in the very top leagues, the same would still apply because we have another milestone, which I'm just rechecking to make sure I'm sharing with you um, the good threshold. Yeah, there's a threshold in gold, there's a threshold in Master 1, there's a threshold in Master 4. So, for example, if you are in Master 3, you will still be able to go down to Master 1 manually, and then the system will bring you back to Platinum. So, someone that is in Master 3 can still go down to Platinum and collect all the rewards along the way. By doing this system, we're making sure that the system we were putting in place, slightly better rewards, but changing the reward structure to prevent a gap to further increase between the top players that have been there historically for a very long time and anyone else joining. For this system to make sense, we need to make sure people are not manually dropping constantly. And at the same time, we also don't want people to manually drop too much because then it's the bronze and silver players that are paying the price for that. As we've seen a few complaints about that already in the past 2 seasons, and that wouldn't really make sense. So that's what we have been working on um, for the league system, and that's the main thing at the moment. But the league system is not the only thing that we're working on at the moment, as you already know. The next thing is that we're gonna finally get out of the beta phase for the global red boss. When the global red boss gets out of the beta phase, we will get a couple of different um, changes with that. First one is that we will introduce a brand new boss, brand new design, brand new type of attacks, etc. The second one is that there should be, was I say should just because it's not 100% fully tested yet, so I don't want to make a promise that it will be there right from next month on, but that should be like if it's not in the first version, that would be in the second one basically. But we are trying to get a clan leaderboard in there. Um, for those that would be wondering, we will share the details once we get closer to the release. But the clan leaderboard um, is going to be one with there's a multiplier in there. So that means we are basically looking at the top X players from a clan, and the guy that dealt the more damage is getting a multiplier. The guys that did the second most damage is getting a multiplier, etc., etc. And since the damage board is based on the top 10, um, on the top 10 tries, that should make up for it. So uh, that's basically the concept for this challenge, this team leaderboard. So that will be one of the big changes. The other big change that we will see with the leaderboards, with the global red boss, sorry, is that we are going to introduce um, new rewards as well, and we are going to remove the winning slash losing condition. So up until now, when we thought about the global red boss, the idea was that the community altogether would defeat the boss and get some rewards, etc. And if you were defeating the boss collectively, you are getting slightly better rewards. The problem is the way the game is structured in Battle Legion. We had a hard time giving rewards that were meaningful to the players if we were to go that way, because since everyone that participates was getting rewards, we couldn't make the rewards too good, especially when there was a defeat. Um, And at the same time, if we don't make the rewards good, then the guys that are aiming for the leaderboard had no reasons to go for it. So what we're doing here is that we're changing the system. There won't be any winning or losing anymore of the global red boss. So global red boss will run just as it currently does. It will add a certain amount of life. You can kill it and get lives done. And once all the lives have been taken down, basically the only difference is that um, it will count in terms of attempts, but you won't have bonuses for taking out an entire life in terms of the scoring. So there will still be an incentive to go and score while the boss is still alive. And the rewards you will see in the leaderboard will just be the ones you're going to receive, regardless of if the boss is globally defeated or not. That will be a big change coming for us. So yeah, that's basically the way we're gonna work on the global red boss. Then coming after the change for the global red boss, we have a couple of different things. I can say finally, because I know that this is something you guys have been asking literally forever. Um, and it's it's the merchant system. So a lot of you were asking for that for a long time. So this is going to come right after the global red boss release. More details will come on that later on. Hey Frankie, welcome to the chat. You're saying that you haven't played properly since you changed the troop leveling system. I find the new leveling system is too much. I wish you guys would roll that aspect of the game back. For the new leveling, I guess you're talking about the change that happened roughly 2 years ago at this point, if I remember correctly. I wasn't in charge back then. We weren't in charge because the game was run by Traplight back then. If that's the case, the main thing with the units and the reason why it went from what it used to be to what it currently is the scaling. Um, we know of other games. I actually worked on another game that still had this old system, if that's what you're referring to. So, if I remember correctly, you had like 15 levels or something like this before it moved to 100. Um, the reason why we, or well, the reason why Traplight made this change and why we also consider it to be a good change is because if you keep it to like 15 levels at the beginning, everyone can progress rather quickly, and that's cool and that's great. As soon as people start to have level 15 units all over the place, you need to increase that level, that max level. The problem is when you do it with a small number of levels, you need every single increase to be insanely high. And that means you would end up with a difference between a player level with units level 16 and a player with units level 15 that is huge. Bit like what you see with the artifacts. One of the main issues with artifacts is that a player with level 5 artifacts is not just slightly better than a players with the same setup but level 4 artifacts. It's a game changer gap between the level 4 and level 5. And that's the same with the units. When you have a small number of units, it's a small number of levels, sorry, for your units. It's great at the beginning of a game because everyone is able to get to the top of the units levels very quickly. But when you scale that down the road on a game, when you do that for 3, 4, 5 years going forward, your level 15 would have moved to level 20, maybe 25, maybe 30 by now. And you would see the same level, strength level, pretty much for level 30 than you see right now with a level 1 and 150. The difference being that right now players are already feeling like going from level 130 to 135 is insanely long. With that system, moving one unit from one level up would have quickly become insanely long, insanely long. We're talking probably to go from level 25 to 26. It might have taken 1 year for one unit of one group. And if you want to do that on several units, etc., or if several group of the same unit, it would have been more years each time along. And the problem with that is that in such a game, of course, you can buy a bit of unit shards, right? Through wagons, through special offers. If we moved into that direction, that would mean someone that is investing into the game would have been able to go way, 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 way faster than everyone else. And that further down the road creates a frustration where the players that are free to play or just spend very little into the game would have been struggling for ages just to see a small progress into their units. And at the same time, we would need to still keep on adding new levels regularly because the players that do spend for the game and are allowing us to keep the game running would have been bored each and every time they max out, right? So I'm I was not there again when this change happened, and I'm sure that it's been tough at the beginning to get used to that new system. I think what makes it tougher also is the multiplication of units, and that is for sure. But ultimately, having more levels rather than the old leveling system, it's more sane for the game, and it also allows for players to progress more regularly, not necessarily faster, but more regularly. And it's kind of the same logic for the artifacts. We're looking into an artifacts rework as well, and the rework will likely be, hey, we move from having 5 level to having 10 or 15 or whatever, simply because that means a new player, instead of seeing their artifact level go by 1 level every 6 months, if they are lucky, and especially for level 4 to 5, that can be an extremely long grind, they will be able to see more steady progress and have the feeling that they're progressing through those levels more regularly, which is a nicer progression. Of course, the difference between the units and the artifacts is that we don't plan on making the artifacts way stronger than they currently are, especially some of them are already at the max of the strength we can put them at. So that's not something that would happen. But yeah, sorry, I went into a very long explanation to your question. I hope that it made sense and it was clear enough for you and answered your question. Um, yeah, if you have a follow up question or if anyone has, uh, just let me know and we'll talk about that for sure. So yeah, as I was saying earlier, coming next, there will be the merchant system. There will be the rework to some extent of the journey levels. That's something we already discussed with you guys, but the idea is that we will add new journey levels. But journey levels, the way they currently work in this game, are a bit of a problem because since you have as many tries as you want, what mostly happen is that players don't touch the journey levels for 6 months, and then they're overpowered. They go into it, they kill all the levels up until they're blocked, and then they don't touch it again for 6 months, and they go back, etc. For long-term players, I mean, it's not going to change anything with anything because you're already done with most of the journey levels, and the ones we're going to add, it's not like we're going to add 500 levels right away, right? So it's not going to make that much of a difference there. Um, but for other players, the journey levels, especially for the newer players, will be something they go to a bit more on a daily basis. And the way to achieve that is that there will be a time, a cooldown basically. So when you fail at a level, you're losing the energy that you need to get going into the level, and you need to wait a certain amount of time before you can try again. And it's just going to be helping there. Hey, Frankie, so you were answering. That makes complete sense. Thank you for replying. I've tried to get back into the game, but found it also overwhelming and said after such a long break. Yeah, I mean, that's something I fully understand. I think it's the same in most of these games when you come back after a long break. Um, One thing I would say, though, is that it's something we're currently working on because the game will get to a point where we need to ensure that new players have a way in, right? And that's why, for example, the change we've done to the league rewards, it's something that goes in that direction. I know it's not always pleasing to see some old habits change, uh, but ultimately we're looking at making sure that the oldest players, the historical players, keep the advantage they have of being a pioneer in this game, and it's normal that they have a certain edge over someone that is just joining. But we need to make sure that someone that joins the game tomorrow is not in a situation where no matter what they do, they will never catch up. And with the old system we had, for example, for the league rewards, it was getting pretty close to that. Because by the time these players would get into the top leagues, they would anyway face players that have access to way more resources for a cheaper amount and a cheaper time spent and energy spent into the game nowadays than newer players. And at one point, that's not really healthy. So we had to make that change. But yeah, I know it can be tough when you go back after a certain time into the game. Not sure if you've done it, but I guess if you're in this poll, you probably went on and check on Discord, etc. We have tons of players on Discord that will gladly help you know what are the go-to builds at the moment and uh, what can be done there. Um, that's actually something I also wanted to bring up. One of the elements we want to change that is not directly in the game, but going forward, is that we are using a platform called Spellwagon that we created, and it's a website that works for this game, but other games will come to it rather soon. And Spellwagon acts mostly as a way to give you some news about the game and a way to get access to exclusive offers. And on the longer run, we want Spellwagon to be also the host website for guides and such. So we will be contacting players that have been making guides for the game, and ask them, if they would be interested in getting this content being pushed to the website, etc., and we will populate it with more and more information. The goal being that Spellwagon becomes a resource for the players, especially newcomers, and we want to have it pretty entangled with Discord as well. It's never going to replace the Discord server. We need the direct exchanges with the players way too much to ever do anything like that, but we want to um, link it with Discord. So yeah, we'll look at different types of Discord integration, Discord bots that could uh, tell you whenever there are news that are being posted on the website, etc. Give you an idea, it would make my life easier if when we push some news on Spellwagon, it directly gets populated in the announcement on Discord and anywhere else. So that's definitely the kind of things you might see on the longer run. And I hope that it will become a great resource for newcomers to understand how to play the game, and for players coming back to know, what's the new meta, what are the new units you need to focus on. And right now, actually, Frankie, I think you can see on the screen a unit that is definitely making its way a lot into armies lately. It's one of the latest units we released, which is the Displacer. So that's this blue crap. Um, yeah, that's a unit that you see pretty much everywhere, but that's the new meta. It's been nerfed a little with the very last um, uh, balancing changes. So maybe it will not be seen as much with the next era and next season. But yeah, that's something that is constantly evolving. Um, that's also something that I get some comments about this from time to time, asking, hey, why did you balance this unit or that unit? Why don't you have all of them balanced perfectly from the get go and be done with it? I think there are two reasons for that. The first one is you guys are super um, clever about how to use units. And what I mean by this is that you will always come up as a community with new ways of using units and combining them, that with the number of units that there are right now and the number of brains that there are in the community, it's impossible for us to test in advance every single combination and against every single type of builds, etc. Sometimes I will admit there are um, basic balancing elements we missed on during our internal tests, and we take the blame for that. That is true, and we need to get better at that. But there are many moments where it mostly depends on how players are using it. We also have the feeling that it's easier to make a unit a tiny bit too strong and then nerf it a little, because at least there's some tractions for a little while. The meta is changed and players are excited, etc. Then go with a unit that is too weak and then buff it. Because a unit that is too weak and gets buffed, the novelty effect is already gone. And by the time it gets a bit buffed, it usually takes a super long time because before it gets adopted. So we usually, if we're in doubt, we will most likely go with a version that is a bit too strong and nerf it afterwards than to go with a version that is too weak and buff it afterwards. That can still happen, though. We have units regularly that are too weak when we release them, or um, not interesting enough for players, so we try to buff them, uh, of course. But yeah, we we have to go that road. And so, to come back to the point I was making, at times, guys, we need to balance the units, no matter what. We don't really have a choice. Units need to be balanced regularly to get going. Okay, guys. So I'm trying to see if there's any other topics I didn't bring. Hey, Frankie. So you say that sounds like a fantastic resource. I will jump back into the game and give the Discord a look. I've always had a love for Battle Legion. A rebuild of my force is clearly needed on my end. Yeah, I will really say the Discord is amazing for that. We have a lot of newcomers coming in, or returning players, basically asking directly the guys, hey, what's a good build to get back into the game? Usually, you will see as well that you get directly asked, hey, why don't you join our clan? We're in the top 20 or top 50 clan. Join us. You will get the benefits of the red bosses and getting more um, options to level up your artifacts faster, etc. So be prepared. They will want to recruit you if you're an active returning players. That's the chase of every clan that always happens, especially on Discord. But yeah, the guys are usually pretty welcoming and always willing to help. We see that as well a lot with the skirmish and the bounty hunter events. Whenever someone is not sure how to do it, or even with journey levels, people that are not sure how to beat a level, you will always find some help from the community for that. Of course, as any Discord server, uh, not everyone is happy about the state of the game or decisions we take, etc. So that's something I take for granted, and that you should as well when you join a Discord community. But overall, I should say, even people that can have a, a rather negative look on how things are going lately, they are really constructive with their feedback. And to me, that's the key element, because ultimately, even if we are not agreeing on everything, if everyone is constructive, if everyone is respectful, we are learning anyway from that feedback. And even if that doesn't necessarily change the mindset of the direction the company wants to follow for one specific element, that might come back again for something else later on. And no feedback is is useless for us. It's always beneficial for us to get feedback, even when it's negative, as long as it's constructive. That's uh, that's always going to be interesting. Okay, guys. So yeah, earlier we were talking a bit about the merchant system, so that will be coming quite soon. I don't think he's watching right now, but Matt Remar, I know you have a strong passion for this feature, so you should be able to see it. It will take some months still to come, but it will come. It's going to be one of the next big things we're working on. For those that don't know what we're talking about, the merchant system is a simple system actually, where you will get offers um, that are asking you to spend resources to get something else. But the deal is that it's not going to be asking you for the usual resources. So it can ask you for gold or for gems, etc., but it can also potentially ask you to exchange artifacts fragments, or exchange portal keys, or exchange power stones that are not equipped, obviously. So it could allow you to exchange a lot of things against whatever is the offer. Not all the offers will be interesting in terms of conversion, but that will be up for you to see if that's something you're really interested in. Um, Ultimately, there's the real value for the game, and there's the value that you put on things, right? If you're looking for shards of a specific units and you get the merchant to offer them to you for a price that is a bit too high, but you know that if you don't buy them, you will have to wait whatever time that is until you see an offer again. Some of you might decide to go for it, some won't. The idea is that the merchant will have great deals and also deals that won't be that great, and it will be up for you to decide which ones you want to take. Um, and the idea with the merchant is that if you're not happy with the offer that you'll receive, you have the option to skip to a new offer if you don't want to wait for the new offer to show up. And that's the option that will be made for gems, um, because obviously for such a feature we need to make sure we also get a bit of gems in there. It's ultimately, as I always say, we have to see it that way, that it's kind of options that you put in for gems, they end up being what makes the game run, right? We need those kind of things to run the game. We need people to buy gems and use gems for the game to be sustainable. So when we have the option to put such an option, when it's not invasive, when it's not something that is gonna um, hurt anyone, but simply something that helps the progression of whoever wants to put a bit more money. And especially in there, it's going to be a very tiny help to the progression. We try to go in that direction to ensure that the games is not turning into a full pay to win or anything like that, because that's a strategic game, and we don't want to lose that aspect at all. Okay, we still have quite some accounts to go. We have done 51. If I remember correctly, we have 84 in this category. Yeah, so we have like 30 accounts to go. Um, One element I would like to talk about, because there were quite some questions about it in the past few days, it's the Jolly Arrow. So, for those that don't know, this is a unit that you have never seen, or most of you have never seen. Um, what happens there is that it's a unit that was supposed to be released during the anniversary event, so the month that is ending now. But with the different issues that happened lately, we decided not to release it right away because it was just not the good timing for that. And so we just released the era units. But but the sale that was planned for it still went through, which means the sale went through with no in-game description for the unit, etc. So it got super confusing for players. We apologized for that, and we can apologize once again for it. Um, this unit will come because obviously you have some players that bought it and we want it to come out. Anyway, it's a unit that we worked on and we want it to be released. The concept behind this unit was that it would be available in a bit of a different way than the regular units. Our goal was that the unit would be available throughout the anniversary month in the anniversary wagons. It would be available maybe as rewards in different events. It would be available in the season path, those kind of things. And the idea was it's going to be available for this entire period. And then when this period is over, it's not going to be available anymore at all until it returns later on. And the idea was to have a slightly different spin on how the units are released and something that gets a bit more exciting every time it comes back. Everyone is like, hey, it's my opportunity right now to level up that unit the most I can, because then I know that maybe for 2 or 3 months I will not see it again. So that's something we wanted to introduce. Um, and we wanted to do it with this unit due to everything that happened with the event we didn't, or not with the event, but around the event we did not. It will still be released. At this point, I don't know yet if it's going to be released as a regular unit or if it's going to be released as an event unit with the concept I just mentioned, but that will come quite soon. So, okay, so that was one of the topics I had for today. Let me check if there's anything I forgot in my list. Don't think so. We still have quite a few players to go. Still have around 30 accounts, I think, because we did 50. Yeah, we had 57 out of 84. So yeah, we have yeah a bit less than 30 now, but we are getting there. So that's also when you see that the changes we've done to the displacer with this season have actually helped, because last week, for a smaller amount of players, we were taking way more time. So that shows that it adds a bit of effect. Is it enough? That will be for you guys to tell us. So as always, feel free to share your feedback with us, especially balancing wise for the units. We tend to apply those changes as often as we can with every season. Whenever we spot something from the data side, or whenever the players are sharing with us elements that they would like to change, we are really doing our best to do this. Oh, is it me or was it the Overseer, the brand new unit? I just saw the spear going all over the place. So I not the spear, but the laser rays kind of thing, the beam. but that's the word I was looking for, the beams. So yeah, I think it was the overseer. Would have to watch the the replay to see if that was the case or not. But that's cool. And yeah, on my side, I don't have too much else to mention. So if you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to ask. Um, as I was mentioning early in the chat, we know that today's a sorry, my yeah, I was saying that my headset turned off for a second. So when this happened, I'm always worried that you guys cannot hear me anymore. Um, so yeah, I was saying that this is a bit of a weird stream because it's not following the usual pattern. So I quite sure a lot of people did not expect another stream to come right this week, and that's probably why there's a bit less participation and also a bit less people watching right now, but that's okay. I know that people will watch the replay. Also, there were some questions about this. We will have the video for the recorded fight night of last week. The only thing is I need to do a bit more editing because usually for the recorded fight nights, I'm not right behind the screen during the entire thing. I'm recording it and letting it do its thing. But what happened is that there was a corrupted account in there, and that means an account that is a very, very old account. It's not the one that we've had a few times in the past, it was a different one. And it's an account that was using a skin that is no longer available in the game because it didn't work, so it got replaced by the same skin but working. But this account still had the corrupted one, um, and because of that, the account will never load. And so I didn't realize that. And when I checked the recording, after a certain amount of time, I realized that only 3 fights or five fights took place, and all the rest was just this blank screen going on forever. So I had to stop the fight night, edit the parameters to take off this account, and get the fight night going. The problem is that it did mess up a bit with the recording, so I have a tiny bit more of editing to do than usual. And again, the week has been pretty hectic on our hands, so it will come. Most likely tomorrow, I will be able to upload it to YouTube either tomorrow or Friday morning. You will be able to get it and watch it and see how you performed, even though you received your gems quite a certain time ago now. So yeah, things are going a bit faster now. I still suppose that there's something a bit weird happening with the randomizer of the tool we use for the fight nights, because some players always end up at the top, some players always end up at the bottom, and even if I roll this randomizer like 10 times, it still ponders them in a weird way that some guys are always at the beginning and some guys are always at the end. And one thing I spotted is that the oldest and more advanced accounts are usually a bit more in the first spots, and there's a bit less in the last spots. So I don't know to which extent this is really the case, uh, but that's also why, in general, the first 20 fights or so that we see in the fight nights in the hardcore mode are taking way more time than the 20 last ones. Oh, it's interesting to see this build. I don't think I've seen that many with the was it the is it the Mandracore I never know how to pronounce this word in English. I will say it in French, the Manticore, and the shrooms. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting build. You know, it's mind corruption all over the place. Kind of like it. It's interesting. Maybe that could be a good idea to look into that direction for the next for the next build. I don't know. We'll see. Also, since it's been a long time that I didn't say that, so I need to repeat it again. Um, Guys, if you have any suggestions for armies, like you want me to build a certain army for the streams, I'm always open to suggestions. Just come to my DMs on Discord or write to the support team. They will share the message with me, and I will get it going. That's something I'm always interested in. Um, the other thing I kind of like is it. Yeah, that's the Shadow Trickster. Okay, I kind of like the fact that there are so many units in the game and so many skins that there are still sometimes some skins for which it takes me a second or two or more to say, oh, okay, that's this unit. Because even after a long time watching fights all the time on this game, I'm still not 100% sure about every single one of the units or every single one of the skins. And I think that's quite interesting. Oh, yeah, I know what else I didn't mention and that a lot of you might be interested in. Something that a lot of you guys have been asking for a long time is to be able to see more stats into the game. Um, we are working into this on two different levels. One would be more of a server wide kind of stats. So, hey, here is the unit that was the most used this era, or hey, here's the power stone that was the most equipped, or whatever. And those are more like trivia kind of knowledge. And those kind of things will be posted on the website. That's one of the things we want to post there, as well as potentially some leaderboards that we can show in the game that we would like to run as well, like an all-time leaderboard of players and all-time leaderboards of clans, for example. That's one thing we're looking into. But we're also looking into adding some stats to the game. Um, we I can't share too many details yet because I don't know yet um, which ones will be able to track properly to display them and without necessarily spending an insane amount of effort implementing it, because ultimately it's not a game changer, a game changing element. It's something more of a nice to have, so to say. But we are looking into adding some stats to the game. So for those that have been requesting that for years at this point, just know that this is something that should be coming to the game rather soon. And I think we have still, what, 10, 12 players to go. So we are at 127. Well, I have the list here. I don't know why I'm counting. That's a bit silly. Yeah, we have, after Riondo, which we are fighting right now, we will have uh, GG in Inder. We will have Sparrow, Testo, Viron, Aldor, Devastator, Gregu, Black Hat, Lord Cody Rex, White Hat, and Niklot. So we have about 10 players left. And yeah, GG in Inder, we just started this fight, so that would be 9 after this fight. So we're getting close to the end of the community stream. If you have any questions, it's now or never. Just as a reminder of the key things we brought up today, um, for those that will watch the replay until the end, or those that will just catch us now. Oh, I see we have a question. Sorry. More than a year has passed and there is still nothing new, so I don't play the game enough, even though I have everything. Hey, Michelle, that's partly true. I understand what you mean. It's true that there's not a lot of brand new and exciting things. That's very true. Not big ones though. We are working on some of the some bigger things. as I was saying, the artifacts rework and the full release of the global red boss with the different changes we intend there will definitely be something new. The merchant system that I was mentioning will be something new. We have some ideas that we're working on for other elements that will be brand new. One of them that will come quite quickly with the seasonal challenges will be the global boost. So the boost to your entire army for achieving the seasonal challenges. Those things are new, but I agree that it's not something as big as brand new game mode, for example. Um, the global red boss is something in that direction to some extent, but obviously, a real feature like this would be if we add the clan wars already released or something like this. I'm just checking with you guys. I had 1 or 2 seconds where everything cut on YouTube on my end. I hope that it didn't cut for you and that it was still working fine. If not, I'm very sorry about that. Any other questions, guys? Any other points you want to bring up before we wrap it up for today? I take that as a no. So yeah, as I was saying, just to sum it up for the last minutes of the stream, we are working on a few different quite interesting things. The main news is that the merchant is now coming closer to being our main focus, which will definitely be a nice addition to the game. The journey levels is something that will come quite fast as well. Um, for those that didn't hear earlier, for the journey levels, we're talking about adding an energy system to it to make it so that the progression in journey levels happens regularly rather than in one go and then 3 months of not touching the feature. Um, I mean, for most of our players that already finished the journey levels, it's not going to change much on their end. But for new players, it's gonna make the progression through journey levels way more interesting. And there will be as well new journey levels coming with it. That will be quite interesting to see as well. I'm just checking because, as you know, sometimes the chat on YouTube is a bit bumpy, to say the least. I'm just rechecking that. uh, didn't miss anything, but yeah, today was a pretty quiet stream and quiet chat, so it seems like this will be it for today. We have still 4 players to go, right? No, three players to go. That's okay. That's a bit odd. 3 players to go right now. So yeah, as we are getting into the last fights, I would like to thank you again, guys, for your loyalty and joining us in those streams, but also for everything, all the exchanges we get on Discord. It's something very important for this game. I know that sometimes, like right now, in the last couple of weeks, things are a bit more tense. There's a bit more disappointment because there's been some technical issues. There are issues with the league rewards that kept us quite busy in the last few days. And no one is having fun when these things are happening. I know you guys don't necessarily know too much about how things are happening behind the scenes and behind the curtains, but I can tell you that no one is happy to see things not work on the technical level. Anyone on the tech side is basically going into extra hours to get that sorted. Everyone on the customer support side or me on the CM side, we have to be present and talk to you guys. And it's not pleasing for us, obviously, to have to share bad news or to see you guys not being happy and satisfied with what is going on. Of course, it's not something enjoyable for you, obviously, first and most importantly. Um, so no one is really happy in those times, but the way I see those things, those moments, is that as a community, we've been through way more than that already. And as a community, you've been through way more than that in the past, and we'll get through it. I know that there's like, there can always be a bad batch of a few releases that don't go as planned. And it's hard to recover from that. But I have absolutely no doubt that we will be able to do it and that things are going to be better rather quickly as soon as we get some of the stuffs we've been cooking for a while going. Things are going to get a lot better for everyone, and for you obviously it's going to be a lot more chill and a lot more pleasant again in our exchanges. So again, thank you for your loyalty, for bearing with us during those challenges. And we're now reaching the end of this fight night. This was the last account we had to fight for today. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your participation, to all the discussions we are having, even when we don't agree, even when things get a bit more tense. It is thanks to you, the community, that we are there taking care of this game. And we cannot thank you enough for that. Keep on sharing your feedback, even when it's negative. It's important. It still makes a difference. It still uh, has a weight. Uh, no matter how you might feel about it at times, it does have a weight. And ultimately, as long as our exchanges are constructive and respectful, and I believe they've always been this way, everyone is gonna get out of this even stronger than before. So again, I will stop here with the talking, because that sounds almost like a motivational speech now. But yeah, thank you again for your loyalty. I will close the event so that you guys all get your rewards right away. This is done. And now I will basically just wish you a great evening, and we'll see each other. I need to recheck, but since I'm out next week, that will either be in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks if we want to return to the usual timing. So we'll see how things are going to turn in that direction, but we will see each other rather soon. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you again for joining the stream. Bye, guys.